Hi everyone, my name's Savannah and I'm going to be starting a channel called The Borrowed Farm. I figured I'd make an introduction video to kind of tell you who I am, why it's called The Borrowed Farm, and a little bit about us. So a few years back when me and my husband moved into our house, our whole goal was basically to have a piece of property that was big enough to do some farming and have a house that had some stuff to fix up and just to kind of make it nice. We bought a house in Lakewood before everything went crazy and boomed, and it actually had two parcels. It was about a 17,000 square foot lot, and it left us lots of room to do stuff. It's not humongous, but for the city, it was actually a really good piece of property. It was a nice house and it met all our needs. We knew eventually we wanted something bigger, but the property worked for them, and it was really fun. About 2 years ago, we sold off our back lot, and we're really deciding what we were gonna do in life. Over the course of 4 years, we fixed up the house and we added quite a few animals. 17,000 square feet is a decent amount. You can plant a good garden. We had 2 goats, which I'll tell you the story of the Christmas goats at some point in the future. We had chickens, we had ducks until I decided they were way too noisy for our neighbors and I didn't want them to completely hate us, even though we were kind of those people already. So I gave them to a friend. Had bunnies for a while, but raccoons. So, you know, we learned some stuff about it. And after we fixed up our house a bit, we decided to sell off the back lot. We used the money to fix up the rest of our house. And eventually when the housing prices just stupidly shot through the roof, we decided we were going to sell our house. And at that point, figure out what we're going to do. Our main goal was to find something with a lot of land because we've always wanted to have animals and be able to grow a lot of our food and have a place for our kids to be able to play outside. The problem is that we live in Washington and land out here is insanely expensive for no reason. Okay, I mean, yes, I guess there's a reason people want to live here, but I don't know why. I mean, look, this is like the best day we've had in forever and it's still frigid. So we decided that since we had to stay here till the end of the year at the very least, because we'd already paid the tuition for my son's school, we were probably going to rent. And when we went to go sell our house, I started to look for places. I figured that we were going to have at least 6 months in here. And at that point, we'd probably move out of state or find a piece of property here and build. I was expecting to find just some house in the middle of a subdivision that I kind of hated and that made my life shitty, but you know, it would get us by. My friend was going to take our goats because no renters in the, you know, in their right mind let you have goats. Everyone's like, yeah, cats good, dogs good, goats, what are you asking me for? And so we figured we'd have something that, you know, was kind of mediocre, but would make do. Anyhow, I started looking on Craigslist, and the first day I started searching for houses, I found this ad, and I honestly thought it was kind of a joke. It said farmhouse in Roy on 60 acres, 5 bedrooms, 2,000 square feet, $1,500 a month. Anyone who lives in Washington knows that that is an insane price, and you can barely find an apartment for that price. I read the ad, and it goes over a whole laundry list of things you can and cannot do on the property. They didn't want hunting, they didn't want ATVs, they didn't want you to park RVs, no shoes in the house, no smoking, no dogs in the house. It had a really high deposit, it had first and last required, a background check, a criminal history check, and before you could apply for the property, they wanted you to send an email listing out why you wanted to live on a farm. Did you have any interest or background in sustainable farming? Could you actually maintain the buildings and work on fences and not call them for every little thing on the planet? So I was really hoping that anyone who would take that long to write out a list about a house wasn't a scam. But I mean, anyone who's looked for a house on Craigslist knows that there's a lot of those out here. So I sent them an email, and it turns out that the people who own the house are actually just really, really nice people who've had a run of horrible renters. They don't really make any money off the house. It was an investment property, and they just want somebody who can live here, who's not going to ruin their land or dump RVs or shoot out their window or paint their house horrible colors or break things or ask them to buy fences and take them with them. That's just a few of the stories they told me about this place in their 30 years of renting it out. So, we ended up getting the place, and it's beautiful. It's got 60 acres. This property really has everything. There's a small pond over there. There's the awesome barn to keep my potential cows in. We have some trees, we have hills, and they have a really nice flat part in the middle. I'll take some videos in the next upcoming weeks and show you around inside the barn. It has this cool, really ridiculously tall ladder that I have no idea what it does. So I'm new kind of learning why my barn is built like it is, and hopefully you guys can give me some insight, because I have no idea why you would need a 4-story ladder. And I'm probably dumb, and I'm probably going to try and climb it, which my husband doesn't really want me to do, but you know, I don't listen very well. We'll see how it goes. Sorry if this video is kind of choppy. I'm learning it's a little bit harder to monologue into a camera than you would think. It seems pretty self-explanatory, look into the camera and talk, but apparently there's a little bit more to it than that. My train of thought isn't nearly as continuous as I was thinking. Live and learn, right? So I'm gonna flip the camera around now. I'll show you the house and I'll show you the barn, and then I'll say goodbye for today. So this is the house. It needs a little bit of love. The paint kind of needs an update, but it's fantastic. I'll do a video inside once we get our table and everything set up. Those are my goats. The poor delivery drivers are a little bit concerned about my property. I guess the people who lived here before had a lot of really mean, really loud dogs. And so they kind of will see my goats in the dark and think that they're dogs and be a little bit like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't go in the yard. But they're getting used to them, and you know, I guess most people don't keep pygmy goats in the yard around their house. But this is the old house. It's really cool inside. That is the crummy work van. They have this weird gravel pit that I'm not sure why it exists. It will at some point in the near future become a really big fire pit for when people come over. There's a pasture over there with some cows. That pasture is actually on our property, but I like cows, so we'll allow it. And there's the big barn. There's the milking barn. The window's broken a while back and now pigeons live in it, but it's still really cool and it'll make for a really fun video. There's an old horse shed, and yeah, it goes way, way, way all the way back there past that hill, over past the cows, and way back down that road. So that's it for today. I'm Savannah, and hopefully you have fun watching us fix up the farm and plant a garden and do all sorts of fun stuff. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.